Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Do you find that you stress on big things or little things?
So as I was thinking about this morning, actually, and this might be more than what you want to hear. I mean, I stress on the things that most people do, right? Like money, bills.
Okay.
Job issues, whatever. But I think that the things that I really get stressed about, this is what I was thinking about this morning, are things that are kind of out of my control. And so I end up stressing about those more or longer because they don't get resolved as easily.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'll just throw that out there. I don't know if it has anything to do with what we're saying.
No, well, it very well. Here's the thing. April, now granted, we are at the end of April, but April is Stress Awareness Month. And I thought it might be appropriate to do something on stress.
Sure.
Because a lot of folks we all experience stress. I experience stress. I think it's well known that I stress when I drive.
Yes. And as I drove to studio this morning, I was stressed.
Okay.
Because the people are just going too slow.
Well, God bless them.
But we do have a speed limit.
Well, yeah. Is it really a limit or is it more of a suggestion?
I'll let you ask the police officer.
All right. Well, here's the thing. You're right. I think that most of us, we stress about our kids. We stress about our relationship. We stress about money. We stress about, the job. We stress about relationships with family, coworkers, neighbors. We stress, I think, a lot on what's going on with the economy, which ties back to money, our job.
Yeah.
We stress a lot about, even if we're not political, there is a lot of politics in our lives, whether it's work politics or just what we see in the news or what people are saying, all these kinds of things.
Sure. I mean, like I tell kids, right, in a political science class, if there's two people in a room, there's politics.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Wherever people gather, there's politics.
Stress is always there, but sometimes it can become very debilitating.
Yes.
And it can weigh us down like an anchor.
Yeah.
And when we get overwhelmed, we react in many different ways. One thing I've noticed about myself is that when I get overwhelmed with stress, I retreat and I'll ignore.
Yeah.
And I'll do something else. I'll play a video game.
Yeah.
And I'll retreat into the video game and I can spend, better part of a day.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, I do the thing that everybody hears about called stress eating.
Oh, I do that too.
Right. And I'll sit in front of the TV, which is the worst place to eat, right? Because you don't really keep track of how much you're eating. And, by the time I've gone through the third bag of Doritos, I still don't feel any better about my stress than when I started. So it really isn't doing me a lot of good. In fact, it's adding to all the other health issues that I have. But there are things that we do, right? Like sometimes I might just lay in a bed all day Saturday.
Well, and that's kind of the thing. Is that when we get overwhelmed, a lot of it comes to the stress overwhelms our nervous system. And what actually happens is things actually begin to slow down. Even though our heart rate might be up, we begin to disconnect.
Right.
We can begin to feel kind of numb to things and we kind of react differently. In fact, we might even stop reacting to things that we normally would care about.
Right.
And so that's why I thought maybe as we're, in stress awareness, kind of talk about, first of all, a little bit about what stress in our nervous system can look like, but then things that we can do to help challenge the negative impacts that stress can have.
I love the science behind it. So let's look at it.
Okay, good. Because I have really been exploring a lot of that. I mean, you mentioned it before of things that you can control and things that you cannot.
Yeah.
I actually have a handout that I share with my clients, and it's called the Circle of Control. What can I control? What can I not control?
Was it like that bullseye one? So I've seen those before. Like here's the things I can control, and here's what's not in my control, and then there's like another circle of like way out of my control.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact,
I get that.
It's kind of neat. But what I like about this circle of control, the things that stress us, as you mentioned, the things that we cannot control. For example, what other people say, world problems, the past, how other people feel, the weather, other people's mistakes.
Sure.
Anyway, but what can we control? Well, we can control our attitude. We can control how we respond, our thoughts, the words we use, our action, our choices. So when we start taking more control, that is how we can help combat some of that stress. But I thought maybe dive right into our nervous system, because that's where this really begins. Our stress activates our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we can, with the nervous system, one of the first things we'll really tackle or begin to notice is we become emotionally numb.
Right.
You feel a little flat. That's why we sometimes feel, depressed.
Sure.
Is because we're emotionally flat. We become disconnected. The things that really mattered to us, things that we really do care about, I don't care. Whatever you choose. We become, less motivated in many ways.
Right.
And we also begin to withdraw from our relationship.
Okay.
And so as we do these things, that's a sign that our nervous system is shutting down. Now, the whole concept is to protect us. The nervous system is to help. It's part of that fight, flight, freeze concept.
That's the limbic portion, right?
Right. Yes, good call. And so because stress can come in many different ways. It can be short-term or it can be long-term.
Right.
Long-term can be in a difficult relationship, marriage, that kind of thing. It could be in a very unpleasant work environment.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, if you're a child growing up, it could be in an unhappy home.
Okay.
So but then you can have the short-term stress of you're in a traffic jam and you're late to work.
Right.
Or
every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm not late to work, but I don't want to take as long to get there as some people do.
Okay, yeah. Or, just little things like, the refrigerator stopped working today.
Right.
So we've got short-term and our long-term stresses. But again, it's these long-term stresses that have the biggest impact on our nervous system.
Okay.
So far, so good?
So far, so good.
Okay.
All right.
Because again, this is a little sciencey and it can get a little boring.
Oh, no boring here.
Okay, good. Well, I picked the right audience.
Yes. At least for me.
Okay, very good. So anyway, as we continue, as the stress continues and we ignore it, all right, well, that's, our body is going to begin to try and conserve energy. That's why we really become less motivated.
Okay.
That's why, and that, of course, the less motivation, well, now we're going to start withdrawing from all kinds of things, from interpersonal relationships to even those little things that make us happy. Our favorite TV shows, for example, reading our favorite book or our favorite author, all those kinds of things.
Okay.
And with that, then we begin to have these feelings of hopelessness because, I can't control anything. I am kind of like a rudderless ship on the bouncing ocean.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about that before, kind of life by default versus life by design.
Is that really something that there is no control, or that's just a perception that there's no control? And so my stress is actually blocking me from being able to do something about it.
It is perception, plain and simple.
Okay.
Because again, it's that outlook. And it's one of these things that it doesn't happen just like that.
Right.
It's a slow progression.
Right.
And so that's why by the time we realize, oh my Lord, we're deep in its clutch. And so that's why it feels kind of so hope. And again, that's why it leads to depression.
Okay.
And so part of this also, we develop adaptation tools because, that's what we do.
Right.
We adapt to every situation in life. When I was married to Eric's mom, it was not a good, healthy relationship any way you look at it. But it took me a long time to come to understand that it was an unhealthy relationship. And there was a lot of stress.
Right.
And my nervous system was doing a lot of these kinds of things. And I had adapted to all of this. And so therefore, it led to what I'll call is depression.
Right.
But in this conversation, we'll talk more about that. This is my nervous system reacting to this long-term stress exposure.
Okay.
All right. So as we're moving forward, I guess part of what we're looking at is after a while, it doesn't feel like stress. Okay.
Well, what does it feel like?
Well, it's we might go, oh, well, I'm feeling lazy. Well, that motivation, well, it's my personality is changing. Okay, maybe your personality is changing, but is that an adaptation to this stress?
And see, I think this is easier to see in other people than it is in us.
Oh, amen.
Right. So, I mean, working with teenagers over the years, so you would see kids come into classrooms and they do their thing, and then all of a sudden there'd be a change. And a lot of teachers would call that, hey, you're being lazy. Mm-hmm. But they're not really being lazy. Something has happened in their life that has changed their mood and their outlook and their drive to do things. And maybe that's what we're talking about.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, is that a lot of times this nervous system shutdown can be misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say that's why it doesn't feel like stress after a while, because we're being disconnected. And so as our system begins to conserve its energy from this constant chronic stress environment. I mean, we see this in, the soldiers that were in Iraq and Afghanistan, the PTSD, because they're in such a stressful environment for so long, their body becomes overwhelmed by it. So that when they come back home, then they're, they don't know how to react and respond. And so that's why I say, again, that's where this whole, issue of personalities begins to change. Well, that's our adaptation. Mm-hmm. Our laziness. Well, it's not, as you mentioned, it's not really laziness. It's our system kind of conserving itself.
Okay.
And the other thing too is that our stress, how many times do we actually overlook?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that I could push it aside, right? But it's still going to be there, right? Like, especially if it's something that I need to handle and I don't, it's going to come back.
For me, it's in my sleep. I don't sleep well because you're right. I'll put stuff off. Oh, I should have done this. Well, then a couple of days goes by and oh my gosh, and it overwhelms my brain.
Right.
And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm going, oh, gee whiz. But here's the thing. A lot of times when we're feeling anxious, because stress is not anxious.
Right.
When we're feeling anxious and we're overwhelmed with anxiety, now that's a whole different story. These are not the same thing.
Okay.
They are different. And so with anxiety, well, that really becomes very visible. There's a lot of telltale signs in our physical response to anxiety.
Okay.
But stress, well, it reacts and responds a lot differently.
So it's more hidden.
It is. Absolutely. And that's why it can overwhelm us without us realizing.
Okay.
And so that leads to this confusion. All right. Because we might call it something else. We may take our stress and we'll call it depression. All right. We may call it something else, or maybe I'm just feeling blue, or as we mentioned before, I'm feeling lazy.
Yeah, I mean, I would just think I'm having a tough time with something, right? Like whatever that might be, finances, bills, job. I had a hard day. I don't call it stress. I just try to put it aside and figure that time will get me through it.
And I think that you and I are a lot alike. I think a lot of us take that approach that, well, it'll get better. It'll just get better on its own. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes it does. You're having a stressful work situation, and sometimes it'll just get better because maybe the boss who's causing a lot of that leaves.
Assuming it's the boss causing it.
Or if it's a coworker, that coworker leaves. All right. And then suddenly, oh, you're right. It will get better. We haven't really done anything.
I feel like a lot of my stress is caused by me sometimes.
Okay.
Like I might make a poor choice, right? Like say I have a financial stress. I mean, it's because I did something wrong.
You went to Disney way too many times.
No, there's no such thing. But yeah. And so, there's something that I might have done wrong that caused me a financial issue. I probably could have foreseen it, but I wanted what I wanted, and now I'm going to pay for it. And so a lot of times I might have created my own stress.
Sure.
Right? That doesn't change the fact that I need to do something about it.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing, I want to make it clear that our stress that cause this long-term stress that can overwhelm our nervous system, causing it to go into kind of a shutdown mode is not the same as depression. Okay. There are some differences. For one, the shutdown of our nervous system is a temporary issue.
Right.
Our depression is much broader. Now, can our stress help contribute to our depression? Absolutely. But they are
what
not.
if you have 10 or 15 stress points going on at the same time? Could that drive you more towards a depression state more so?
Potentially.
Okay.
But our depression takes on a lot more. It's a much
Steeper.
broader issue that more things contribute to it. Now, like I said, stress can contribute to it, but our nervous system shutdown is not depression.
Okay.
They have some similarities, but they are not the same thing.
Okay.
One thing is that depression is persistent, where our stress can be a trigger-based issue.
Right.
Because a lot of times our nervous system begins to go into shutdown because of a stressor.
Okay.
For example, you're given a project at work and you're given 6 months, but now you're down to 2-3 weeks and you're way behind and, the deadline's looming.
Right.
And so now you're feeling overwhelmed stress. But once that deadline is done and you have moved forward, Sherry does this all the time in April, on the quarter months.
Right.
And she's very stressed, but then boom, the deadline's over. Woo! And it kind of resets itself. And so whereas depression, that's again a much bigger issue that it's not just, there's no ebb and flow to it. It can be very persistent and can be very consistent as well.
Okay.
All right. The next thing is with our shutdown of our nervous system. Yes, there are this is where, again, the similarities, there is low energy. All right. You can feel.
That's why I need to eat bags of Doritos.
Yeah. So you can, and drink your caffeine.
Right.
And
then I can get my energy back.
Absolutely.
It never works, by the way.
Oh, no, it doesn't, because it crashes.
So, okay.
But again, the symptoms of low energy, disconnection, and low motivation. All right. That's why it kind of feels like depression.
Okay.
But it's not. All right.
But if it goes on for a long time.
Now, yes, if it goes beyond the trigger points,
okay,
where it, like I say, ebb and flow, if it's very consistent and persistent and begins to encompass a lot of areas of your life beyond a specific, if work is stressful, okay. But once you're out of work, then that stress can reduce.
Right.
But your
Except
depression.
Today we live in a society where you're bombarded 24 hours a day by work stuff on your phone.
Well, yeah, that is
so
true.
There is an issue there. But
Yeah.
what if it just doesn't, I don't take care of it? It goes unaddressed. It just doesn't, the problem actually gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Now we're headed into the wonderful world of depression.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, or where I was headed, with this is the idea that, as you're right, our work, if we can't leave it behind, it can contribute and carry over into other aspects of our life.
Somewhat consumes us.
Absolutely. I like the way you said that, because when it now consumes many aspects of our life, that stress has now escalated into depression.
So how the heck do I get out of it?
Well, part of it comes with, like so many things, give it a name. How many times, when we go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, this is what you have. This is what what you got, and this is how we can treat it. Do you suddenly feel better about it? Compared to the doctor going, well, I don't know what you got. We're just going to keep running test after test after test.
Yeah. If there's a solution to it, I definitely feel better about it.
And that's kind of what this is. And like with many of our psychological issues, giving it a name.
So am I naming the actual stress, or am I naming just the fact that I have stress?
I think both.
Okay.
That I have a stressful life right now. Perfect. What is causing the stress? What are these stressors? Great. Now that we've identified them, what can we do to limit its impact on your daily life? limit its control over you.
So from a practical standpoint, though, like how do I determine that? Like what does that analysis look like if I realize, hey, I'm just overstressed, but like how am I going to find the particular stressors?
And that's where you can talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, you can talk to your therapist, and basically you're just going, man, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Great, let's dissect this. And you just have a frank conversation. It's something I do with a number of my clients is I'll have them look in the mirror.
Okay.
Because if you can look in the mirror, what do you see?
Right.
Let's be honest. Let's be true. Mm-hmm. Look at, let's take an honest to God look at ourselves, not what we want to see, not what we pretend to be, but what we actually are. And by doing that, by facing it, it helps us then to come up with, okay, let's tackle this head on.
So you're talking about getting a realistic starting point to say, this is where I'm at right now. And then how do I go from here to a goal?
And exactly. And that's kind of the thing, because pushing harder isn't the way to go about this. What we want to do is try and find a way to reduce it, because by doing so, we're creating a little bit of safety in our situation, in our environment.
So, that we've talked a lot about reading a lot of books, right? And so just comes to mind, right, is James Clear's book.
Oh, yes.
Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And because I feel like some of this is addressed in that he talks about, being able to control something and having a win, right, for the day. And so like the get up and make your bed. And if that's the only success you have for the day, at least you did something and you accomplished that goal of making the bed. And so you have that 1%, right? Like that you did that was different from before. And so, like things like that, like,
sure.
So if I'm stressed about my money, right, because I overspend.
Sure.
Maybe looking at and assessing where am I, like what is my income and what are my actual needs and expenses, and then figuring out what do I do with the rest of them.
And that, you are correct, baby steps.
Okay.
All right, small steps, anything that can slowly turn the temperature down on the issues.
Okay.
So that by doing so, by doing these little things that limit that power of that the stress has, now we're slowly de-escalating.
I think that's what's important for me. Like, I want to know, what can I do like today? What can I do now? How can I, I don't want to wait for, I may need to go see a counselor, but I don't want to necessarily wait for that to get started, to recognize it, to see it before I have that discussion. So,
and that's
having some kind of a win. What if the win that I do, the thing that I do brings something into my control, but isn't necessarily directly related to the stress, right? Like making my bed, picking up the clothes on my floor, cleaning the dishes in the house, making my environment that I live in a little bit more controlled.
Anything.
Does that?
It can, because that is direct action. And it's helping your nervous system re-engage.
I think for me, and the reason I mention those things is they distract me to some extent for a period of time from those other stressors.
Oh, absolutely.
Not in the same way that a television show does.
Sure.
But giving me an accomplishment. Because if I sit and binge watch TV, I don't totally feel accomplished.
No, sometimes I feel even worse. Kind of like going, oh.
If I accomplish something, no matter how small, and I can look at it and say, I did that, it's clean. I feel good about it.
Yes.
And it draws me away from that stressor for a moment.
And that's part of that re-engagement, that small victory, that little bit of, because sometimes that stress can make us feel like we are in no control of what's going on. So you're right. By doing something that you can go and see some small immediate results. Wow, I am in control of something. Ooh, I'm taking control back.
Almost like I feel like a failure on the stress side of things, but I'm not a failure. Like I'm not a failure.
And it addresses that feeling of laziness. It addresses that issue of low motivation. And these, again, allow a re-engagement of your nervous system, allowing you to slowly take back some of that control that you had lost.
Okay, so that gives me some level of safety and control. I like that because I like control.
Oh, don't we all? We just don't get it. And because here's the thing, when our nervous system is shutting down, it's not a failure on our part.
Right.
It's not laziness on our part. It's not necessarily a sign that something is wrong with you. It's just a potential sign that you are being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's where taking a moment to let's assess this. Let's be objective. Let's be clear. And is there something that I can do here and now?
I think that's important because I think one of the things that I've noticed, when I'm stressed out on something, money, whatever, right? Like job, relationships, you feel like you're the only one. Mm-hmm. You feel like nobody else is really stressed out. They seem happy, go lucky, things are going well for them, whatever. But we know that everybody's hiding something. And what they're hiding is probably that stress. Everybody's experiencing stress. Everybody's having problems, right? I mean, finances is something that everybody has to do.
Oh, amen.
The world over, no matter what kind of political or financial system you live in. And so there's always that challenge of, do I have enough? Mm-hmm. And so there's always going to be a stress related to that. Everybody experiences it. And, sometimes we just think we're alone, that we're the only ones doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's not true at all. And so, there really is no failure in that. That's the only failure is ignoring it.
Exactly. And that's why I thought with it being Stress Awareness Month, we could talk about it because it's only through awareness. It's through our own patience with ourselves, through small, consistent signals of safety that we can begin to reassert a little bit of authority and control and reassert ourselves over that stressful issue or situation.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I think that this is an important topic to be aware of. Mm-hmm. And like I said, one that I was thinking about this morning, not even realizing that we would discuss this today. So I love it. I think it's great as we head into summer where hopefully people will have a chance to relax.
That is always the wish, the hope, and the desire.
Awesome.
So,
all right.
Well, then, without further ado, we'll say goodbye. So I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See ya.
Bye-bye.